Oppenheimer.
So
also fucking Oppenheimer.
Bongo Man.
Yeah, bongos.
Settle down, Nolan boy. Just relax. We're talking companion right now.
Yes. Wait, getting back to the bongo. Hold on. What?
Hello, Blenders. It's Sean O'Connell, the managing editor at CinemaBlend and a co-host of the ReelBlend podcast. And I'm very pleased to bring you guys a new interview that we have on behalf of a special film that's going to be coming to theaters called Companion. And on behalf of that, we have the writer and director of the film, Drew Hancock, joined by two of his stars from the film, Sophie Thatcher, who many of you know from Yellow Jackets, and Jack Quaid, who has been making a name for himself with The Boys, and is really branching out and proving to be, as you'll see in this interview, and hopefully the film when you see it, a really fearless actor who's willing to go the extra mile for something funny. This is one of those movies where the less you know about it going in, the better it's going to be. It opens everywhere on January 31st. It's been getting a ton of great reviews. They've been sort of marketing it on the fact that it's from or produced by Zach Krieger, who did Barbarian. And there are twists in this movie, especially just from the premise alone. But most of it is kind of clarified in the first 15 minutes of the movie. And then as they talk about in this interview, because Kev has a really good question about working with the marketing department and how do you protect this film from spoilers. It's not really the type of film that you can spoil because there's plenty of stuff coming from the time that the hook gets revealed till the end of the film, things that you just can't predict. And so we really tried to keep it to a conversation about things that are seen in the trailer. But this might be one of those ones where, of course, listen to it if you want to hear the filmmakers talk about working on the film or catch up with Sophie Thatcher and Jack Quaid. Great actors, really charming in this interview. Fantastic. Really happy to talk to them. But I could see some people maybe saying, I'm going to save this one and I'm going to come back after I had a chance to go see Companion, in which case this episode will be waiting for you. But for now, for those who want to listen, this is a bonus episode of ReelBlend. It is the interview on behalf of the new film Companion, which is going to be in theaters on January 31st. And this is writer-director Drew Hancock with his two stars, Sophie Thatcher and Jack Quaid, here on the ReelBlend podcast. Drew, I want to start here. There are visual cues and references throughout Companion that suggest a filmmaker who has love for and might have been inspired by James Cameron's Terminator films. I would love to hear from you what influence those initial two films had on you as a film fan growing up.
Yeah, I mean, I should back up and say, like, the purpose of writing Companion came from a place of I was in a position in my career where I wasn't really getting the opportunities that I'd wanted. I love genre. Like, I've always loved genre. I love sci-fi. I love horror. I love thrillers. And I just, it's the space I've always wanted to work in. And it took a pandemic for me to sit down and go, like, why aren't you getting these jobs? And it's because I just didn't have a writing sample that represented it. So truthfully, like, Companion was born out of me just being like, put your money where your mouth is. Like, write something that you would want to watch. And then my joke is, like, I threw everything at the wall, took everything that stuck, and then came back, and everything that fell on the ground too, I put that in the movie too. Like, I treated it like this would be the only thing anyone would ever read of mine. So I think that's why every genre is in there, because I'm like, well, I might not have a chance to do a thriller, a sci-fi, a heist movie, a comedy, and then it's just like, I love Terminator, so it feels like there should be some nods to it, and like, that's the fun little Easter eggs, the things that inspired you through your life.
Halfway through watching it, my wife turned to me and she goes, "Is this really like a rom-com?" And I was like, "Kinda." yeah, I guess.
This scene is in the trailer, and I think it's fascinating. I want to break down kind of all your perspectives on filming it with the hand over the fire, and kind of what your perspective on that was, how that was done. I just think it's a great scene. It's a really interesting character sequence as well. And I'm just curious each of your perspectives on filming that moment. Sophie, I'll start with you first.
Yeah, I thought it was one of the most fun scenes as an actor, because everything is in the eyes and there's so many twists and turns, because she starts off with control, then loses control, and then you're playing losing intelligence and losing that control, and that's such a weird technical thing that I've never had to play with. And it was just fun with Jack because he's such a good actor and he was so present, and even when I don't have dialogue, it was just going off of him that made it really easy.
I mean, I echo the same thing to you. Like, just watching Sophie absolutely crush it with that scene. Like, it was so cool to watch because obviously our characters are in kind of the height of their conflict in that scene, which is so cool. Yeah. And our characters are always battling over who has power and who has control, and that for Josh is kind of like the first time he starts to realize he's losing some of that. And I think that's very scary for him. But just to, even though my character's in conflict with Iris, it was so cool as just a fan of yours, just to watch you like fully, kind of give, say the things to Josh that the crowd really wants to yell at him. And that was a good monologue. That was really unbelievable. And, then when we get into, I think we do a really good job, all the practical effects in this movie are unbelievable. And I think just watching that thing go up I remember that was a moment where I was really like, we're making something really special and unique, and I'm happy that scene is in the marketing so much because it is so visually interesting as well.
Yeah. And Drew, just from your perspective, like I love how movies are made. Is the hand down and you have a second arm out? Like it looks incredible the way it's framed and filmed, but you obviously have to lens that in a certain way for us to not to see how it's done, kind of thing.
No, Sophie set herself on fire.
Yeah, of course. Give
her some credit. It really hurts.
All the effects are bravo.
Like honestly, that scene, like her hand on fire, that was the one I was the most scared of because it's it is a moment where you need to buy that she is like in 100% like obedience mode. You know what I mean? But also you need to tease that there's a little bit something more there. You need to feel the pain. So to feel pain in a moment where you aren't supposed to show emotion, like that is a really, really difficult like tightrope to walk. And Sophie nailed it in the first take, and I was just like, okay, great. Now it just becomes a matter of just filming this and making sure it's like it works on camera. And as far as like the effects go, that's a fake arm. And I think and we actually like lit the arm on fire. So which helps because then you get the reflections in her eyes of the actual fire. You beef it up in post, but the fire is there. She can feel the heat, and I feel like that probably helped.
It did help
in the moment, just like feeling it. Yeah,
such a good scene.
Jack, with every new project we sort of see from you, I'm learning how fearless you truly are. Like from The Boys to Scream, even what we've seen out of Novocaine, just in the trailer.
So
also fucking Bongo Man. Yeah, Bongo.
Settle down, Nolan boy. We're talking companion right now.
Yes.
Wait, getting back to the bongo.
Hold on. What?
You have filmed some truly bizarre stuff. I want to know where you would rank smash cut to extreme close up of my orgasm face.
So this is
a good laugh in the theater.
This is I remember. Oh boy, I remember. Thank you, Drew. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So I remember shooting that scene and seeing how the camera was set up, and I was like, yeah, I know what this is going to look like. And, and I have to give it my all. Like, this has to look gross. Like, in order for this movie to work, this is not the hinge point of the whole film. We have to really like, it has to look really gross. We don't like Josh. And I know every time I see the movie, I know that moment's coming, and and it still takes me by surprise. And I cringe. Like we're gonna go to the premiere tomorrow night, and so I'm bringing like a bunch of my friends from high school who I've purposely told do not, I want you going blind for this movie because it's such a great. There's so many twists and turns, but I know that moment's gonna come up, and I'm just going to probably be like this. If there's room there, I will collapse into that.
It's very funny.
Yeah.
No, it's the focal point from which the film either succeeds or fails.
we have like maybe 3 solid minutes of you giving orgasm face.
I give options.
And so
I remember hearing it from the other room, being like, "Oh man, I wouldn't."
Yeah,
want to
and
be
here's
right
and here's a good thing to note. You're in the other room. Thank God.
yeah.
Because I didn't want anyone. I was just like,
Weird.
this is me and the camera right now.
But that was a fun game to play with the editor, being like, which orgasm is like too much? When did it go too far? What's the funniest one?
Yeah.
What that scene is actually doing is like when we're in the editing of this movie, because there's so many genres that it's juggling, you need to kind of tease each genre in that first act. You just present it like, okay, that's like really the first like comedic moment, beside from maybe like the introduction of Sergei's character, which is just absurd. But the orgasm face, that is the first like, okay, there's comedy in here, so we need like there's purpose to it. Just to when it starts, like the plot starts unfolding and you start getting introduced to all these other genres, I feel like you need to have a little bit of a taste of it before. And so
you agree it's the focal point?
It is the focal point of the movie. The movie hinges on the believability of your orgasm.
That's going to live on forever. Oh, no.
It'll be your Oscar clip.
Oh, great.
I'll give them all 3 minutes of it.
Oh, yeah.
I had no idea Sean was going to ask that question, and I'm just like dying on the other side of this. Jack, you bring up something about going in blind to this film, and there's an interesting relationship that we have as audience members with trailers, right? And the things that are given away in trailers. And it's interesting because as I'm watching the first 20, 25 minutes of this film, the dialogue is so interestingly done in a woven in way where you don't really know what's happening unless you know from the trailers. And I understand the business of marketing and kind of selling a film, and you have to put certain things out there to kind of bring in an audience. I'm just curious for each of you, your relationship to trailers. Are you somebody who gets to the theaters? Do you like to watch trailers? Do you not like to watch them? They are kind of events. Like Oppenheimer, I remember having to go to a theater to see the trailer. And so I'm just curious for each of you, your relationship to them and kind of what is given away and what's not given away.
I think this movie has kind of changed my opinion on trailers. I think there's it's hard. You can't really not do a trailer nowadays unless it's
or
have it on YouTube.
So much noise.
I know. It's like, how do you sell your movie? And a rom-com, I guess, wasn't enough. But it is interesting, and now I'm just more hyper aware of it.
Yeah,
where I wasn't really before. I thought they were fun.
I love trailers.
Yeah,
me too.
I think there are. I rank them. My favorite trailer from last year was Trap. My favorite trailer this year is 28 Years Later. It's a great
trailer.
Yeah.
My God.
Great trailer.
So excited for that.
They are
so good.
I remember the first time I really a trailer I was obsessed with, and it's like the movie is also just as good. But I remember watching the trailer to Logan a million times, just with that with the Johnny Cash Hurt song. I was just like, just this trailer is emotional and great. But I think when it comes to reveals, it's a dance. I think that was one of the first questions I had for you. I'm like, how is this movie going to be marketed? Like, how do we know?
I don't know.
Yeah, of course.
I still don't know.
I think there is such a value. It depends on the movie. I think there's such a value in going in blind. But I will say, I think this is a testament to your script, Drew, is that this is such a great movie. It's one of the best scripts I've ever read. And I think that it's not necessarily a twist movie. There are twists in it, but I think the movie stands on its own. So if you know some reveals, that's fine. I think it's still an amazing movie.
It's still going to hit you.
It's still
going
to hit you. Yeah, and I think that is a testament to how sturdy your script is. Yeah.
And Drew, from your perspective, like working with a studio, do you have say in what goes out and what stays in, kind of thing, from that perspective?
Warner Brothers marketing was insanely collaborative. I can't stress enough, because you feel like you hear horror stories where you make a movie and then you just give it to the studio and they go like, oh yeah, thanks. And then they take it and they do whatever they want with it. They were very open from the beginning, like showing us trailers, like listening to our notes. It wasn't just like what do you think? Oh, that's adorable that you think that this. No, they were very collaborative, and it was fun. I think I've seen like 100 different versions of the trailer, and and seeing that you couldn't market this movie without giving away the twist, because there's nothing there. I mean, like the movie doesn't really become the movie until after the reveal of Iris. To sell it on those first 20 minutes, the first 20 minutes are just luring you in the sense of familiarity. So if you're just using the first 20 minutes, it's going to look like the most boring, like just like.
What about the O face?
Yeah. It shouldn't.
Is that nothing to you?
Yes, you're right.
That's right. This is the first 20 minutes.
True.
That should just be the trailer. Just that shot.
It's the linchpin of the movie, for God's sake.
January 31st.
We should do that. You're gonna regret bringing that up.
Yeah.
Please do that.
Oh,
You got to release the 3 minutes.
Just on social media, just as a clip.
You think I still have shame?
Sophie, there's a scene I want to talk to you about, which was one of my favorites in the movie, which is your scene with Mark Machaca, the guy playing the sheriff. And it's so
good
amazing
at it.
because it's so you are funny and you have comedic timing in a foreign language. And so it's not even just like learning German and being fluent in it for that, but it's understanding how to deliver humor. Can you just discuss maybe prepping for that and being funny in German?
Yeah, I don't really do a lot of comedy, so that on top of the German was really scary for me, but I think it was just playing into the absurdity of it and not taking yourself seriously. I think because the day was really weird, it was really rushed, so I felt the sense of nervousness, but it added to it and it made me a little bit more physical and jittery. And because it was freezing, I was also jittery and weird and a little more spazzy. That I think that worked and added to the physicality and the absurdity.
Oh, that's interesting.
So I think that kind of worked in its own weird way, and just not thinking about it too much because I was stressing over that scene for months because we had that break, and I was like, I need to be able to pull it off or else it's kind of awkward, you know?
I remember meeting you before you were even in the movie, where we were just like meeting each other. You were worried about the German. Like that's how like omnipresent that was.
Yeah.
But that was the hardest scene to shoot in the entire movie because we had 8 hours to shoot that scene.
Yeah.
Like, that's just how much daylight you had in New York, upstate New York at that time. And there are 3 stunts.
Right.
And there's a car. You have to, it's really hard to reset a car, and the car has to move, and she has to jump out of the car, and then not only that, but she has to nail German in like 1 or 2 takes because you can feel the sunlight just dipping behind the trees. And you're like, oh my gosh! A testament to Sophie and her her abilities and how seriously she took it. Like we did 2 takes of each German line. That's all we had time for.
Wow.
She nailed both of them. We never no mistakes, and we had like a German language expert off camera.
Thank God.
Giving notes, but you were like on point. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's 6 months. I had a long time.
Sophie, you and Jack, the filmmakers that you've already worked with, it's incredible. Like Ty West, obviously, and Bex and Woods, and then obviously Chris Nolan. There's so many great filmmakers that you both have worked with from a filmography perspective. I'm just curious how much of an imprint those filmmakers have left on you so far in your career that you're still utilizing in new roles that you take on.
I think it's important to be collaborative, and if you get that experience, thank God for you. Just like being willing to listen, have conversations. And going in with trust and confidence, I think, is so important.
Absolutely.
No matter what.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I think I've learned. You learn something from every single set you're on because, I mean, as an actor, your role, like in Oppenheimer, I'm very much in the background, but I was able to, that gave me the perspective of being able to like watch not only Chris, but just all of these, there's a Christmas party scene that we shot. Of course I was playing the bongos, but I was able to look around and just see like, there's Kenneth Branagh, there's Killian, like Emily Blunt. Like it was just crazy to like, just watch these people work and do some of their best work, just like as I'm doing this. But I have to say, like, I've learned so much from Drew, and I am like the trust that you put in all of your actors was it really calmed us down, I think, because, this movie's scary. This movie's scary and a very specific tone. Yeah. And you were just so good at making sure that we understood what that was. And I'm just so excited to see whatever it is that you do next. I'm just I'm simultaneously just like, I'm an actor in one of your films, but I'm also just like one of your biggest fans. So just please, sir, may I have some more?
Drew, can I make a suggestion?
Sorry,
Drew, can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
Can we get a Sergey origin story prequel? Maybe?
Oh, please.
Of course,
Please.
like the dirt salesman. It'll be called the dirt salesman.
That's great.
I just want more Sergey.
Yeah, a lot more Sergey, which is what the world needs right now.
I mean, like, can I just say, like Sergey, like that easily could have been a Simpsons character. Like that may have been the most worried I was about an actor like showing up and being like, why is this guy here? What is he doing? Like, he's a cartoon character. And credit to Rupert Friend for grounding that absurdity in that world. And you just buy it. You immediately buy that he's there. It's weird. It's really weird.
Also, one of the rare actors who you have to, through the magic of hair and makeup, make less handsome. That man is so good looking.
He's like, oh,
and somehow we made him gross. I don't know how we made him gross, but we did. That mustache did so much work.
Yeah, mullet and mustache.
My wife who talks to the screeners, my wife leans over and she goes, is that Charlie Sheen? No, it's not Charlie Sheen.
Interesting casting.
Compliments? I'm not quite sure. Sophie, this might be our last one. I just want to get you out of here on this one. I love that you got a chance to sing the melody for Iris's theme in the film as part of the film. And so, knowing how important music is to you, what did that moment mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's tying the audience into her head, and I think there's something soothing, and it feels like a lullaby to her to calm her down. Our first meeting, we were talking about soundtracks and how important soundtracks are, and this soundtrack is so fucking good, and it adds empathy to characters, it heightens scenes, it like brings you into their atmosphere completely. It adds to the stylized effect of, Iris's outfits and everything. It ties everything together in a beautiful way. But that theme song, we were talking about Rosemary's Baby, that, and then other soundtracks Cannibal Holocaust, where it just has this eerie smoothness to it that, against all the darkness, it leaves you feeling strange, but it adds so much, so many layers.
Yeah, it's cool that the sci-fi movie would have like a gentle 70s romance vibe.
I know,
Yeah.
Love the Cannibal Holocaust reference. That
was on Sophie, and that actually tied. So I mean, like, she planted that scene in my head at the very beginning. So
that theme song though,
it's beautiful.
I mean, it's the darkest, worst movie of all time.
Yeah, didn't they have to go to court?
Disgusting.
Didn't they have to go to court to actually like? They had to go to court.
Oh yeah, that's why I've been wary about bringing it up. So I'm going to say it first.
I've been bringing it up all the time. We actually edited the grocery store scene with the Cannibal Holocaust.
Are you
scene.
fucking kidding me?
It worked. It was like,
wow. You never told me
it
that.
was a brief moment where we were like, should we try to license this?
Whoa.
But I'm glad that we didn't, because Rishi's score. And we should say Rishi did a fantastic
genius.
job.
So good.
Yeah.
I have to also shout out the needle drops in it. Like, when I saw it for the first time and I heard Labby Siffers give me some more, I was like, yes. I was just, and then Boy by Book of Love, a movie I learned about through this, a song I learned about through this movie. I still can't stop listening to it.
Credit to Rob Laurie, the music supervisor, did an amazing job.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Well, thank you guys for your time. We really appreciate you stopping by.
Thank you.
I hope to talk to you guys again soon, and congratulations on the movie. Thank you so much to our good friends at Warner Brothers, as well as to Drew and Sophie and Jack for coming on the show. Loved having them on, and really happy to be able to talk about this film, Companion. Just to give you guys an idea of how I went through this movie, I didn't know anything about it. I didn't watch the trailers. I wasn't up to speed on what was happening in the movie. I kind of figured out the twist, the early hook. And I was right and wrong. I'll talk about it in more detail when I get a chance to, when more people have had a chance to see it, even though you've made it to the end of the interview. But then still was just tickled by the different places that the movie went to the point where there was a point during watching the movie, I turned to Michelle and I was like, this movie's getting a little silly. And then it really came back around, and then I just started to admire the bold places that it was going, because in a way it reminded me a bit of Scream, in that it's very clearly operating in a genre that people are really familiar with, but it also knows the constraints and the tropes of that genre and is happy to play around inside of them. Sophie Thatcher and Jack Quaid are really intelligent and smart and funny and versatile and can, pull off a lot, which is necessary in this movie because as Drew was talking about, the film often switches genres from, one scene to the next as you're sort of following it along. We'll talk about Companion in a future episode, I'm sure. But for the moment, right now, I'm really happy to be able to bring those guys to the show. And I'm glad that ReelBlend listeners and audience members are going to get a chance to go see it in theaters as soon as it drops. Stick around. We got something really cool coming up for the full episode on Friday. The one's going to be dropping soon. It's sort of an if it happens. It's supposed to happen tomorrow. If you are a fan of this guy over my shoulder and you like animated shows that are on Marvel Plus, I can tell you that you're going to enjoy the interview that we're trying to land. And in the meantime, thank you so much for checking us out. Follow our social media channels. If you're on the YouTube channel listening to us here, hit subscribe, turn on your notifications. As always, share the show with a friend of yours who loves movies and might potentially like the shenanigans that happen on ReelBlend on a regular basis. And again, thanks to the guys who are associated with Companion for coming on the show and talking about their movie. We're really happy to have them on here. We'll talk to you guys really soon. And I don't know. Until next week. Thanks, guys. Take care.